If you think back to like 5 years ago, Hollywood basically decided that there was really only one way to break box office records, right?
Oh yeah, the whole throw 30 superheroes on screen at the exact same time formula.
Exactly. You surround them with $1 billion of CGI, blow up the universe, and call it a day. And I mean, we all just kind of accepted that that was the blueprint.
Right, this is standard.
But this weekend, uh, a single guy in a spandex suit doing practical stunts on real city streets is just completely dismantling that entire idea.
It really is a fundamental disruption. I mean, it's changing what we thought a modern blockbuster even had to be. We are basically looking at a paradigm shift playing out in real time.
Which brings us to today's mission. Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Because to figure out if Spider-Man Brand New Day can actually pull off the impossible and, dethrone Avengers, Endgame at the box office, we can't just look at the surface level hype.
No, we have to go way deeper than that.
Right. So we are synthesizing a huge stack of sources today. We've got raw tracking data from Collider and Bleeding Cool, historical Wikipedia data on Endgame, plus some really fascinating behind-the-scenes insights from Comic Basics and Den of Geek.
And we're also tapping into the live frenzy happening on Reddit right now.
Yes, to really understand the mechanics of this phenomenon, because, it's happening as we speak.
And for you listening, think about the last time you sat in a packed theater for an opening night. Because, I mean, for the last few years, those communal, grab the armrest, culturally inescapable moments have been growing incredibly rare.
They really have. It's just not the same anymore.
Exactly. But what this movie is doing, I mean, more than 20 years after Spider-Man first swung into cinemas, is proving that a solitary character can still command the undivided attention of the entire globe. If approached with a really specific creative vision.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really grasp the scale of what Brand New Day is pulling off, we have to put it head-to-head with the reigning titan.
Right, the big one.
We have to talk about these seemingly unbeatable numbers of Avengers. Endgame.
Which is, the absolute ceiling of modern theatrical distribution. Or, well, at least what we thought was the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start with the immediate data, which is the Thursday previews. For context, Endgame held the preview record with $60 million.
Which was huge.
Right. That was considered the absolute maximum capacity for a Thursday night. I mean, there are only so many screens, only so many hours in an evening.
Yeah, you physically run out of seats.
But Brand New Day just shattered that ceiling. In one day of previews, it brought in between $72 million and $74 million.
Which is just staggering.
And current estimates are actually hovering around $75 million now. Which does include about $3.75 million from early Amazon Prime screenings, but still.
Well, we really need to pause on that 75 million figure because, a 20 to 25% jump at this tier of the box office isn't just a matter of more people wanting to go.
What do you mean, like mathematically?
No, physically. It represents a physical stress test on the theatrical infrastructure. When Endgame hit 60 million, theaters were already running at maximum operational capacity.
Right. Every screen was full.
Exactly. So to squeeze out an additional 15 million in a single preview window means theaters aren't just adding show times, they're converting their entire multiplexes into single movie operations.
Oh, wow. So just wall-to-wall Spider-Man.
Literally. They're keeping doors open until like 3 or 4 in the morning. It requires this massive logistical mobilization from exhibitors that we just haven't seen in half a decade.
But, previews really only tell us about the diehard fans, right? Like the people willing to stay up until 3 a.m. on a Thursday.
That's true, yeah.
So to see if this actually has the momentum to catch Endgame's overall opening weekend record, we have to look at the general public's advance tickets. And this is where the contrast gets truly staggering.
The pre-sales are just wild.
Insane, because Endgame held the previous pre-sales record, but Brand New Day has reportedly surpassed $200 million in advance ticket sales.
And that's before the general opening even happens.
Right. $200 million. That's the largest pre-sales total in box office history.
Just to give you the mechanical context for that 200 million figure, the last highly anticipated Spider-Man film, No Way Home, had 78 million in advance sales.
Wait, really? Just 78?
Yeah, 78 million. So jumping from 78 million to over 200 million. Before the movie even opens to the general public, it shows a level of consumer velocity that literally breaks the traditional tracking algorithms.
Like it broke the computers.
Pretty much. Ticketing platforms are designed to predict a gradual curve of interest, but this is just a vertical line.
So naturally, this brings us to the domestic opening weekend projections. because Endgame holds the domestic opening weekend record of $357.1 million.
Which seemed totally untouchable.
Right. But right now, Brand New Day is actively targeting 350 million or more. And if it hits that trajectory, it's racing against Endgame's historical milestones, which were, let's see, 100 million in 17 hours, 300 million in 3 days, and 1 billion worldwide in 5 days.
It is entirely within striking distance, and it's doing this without the structural advantage Endgame had.
Well, I have to push back on this narrative a bit, because if we look at Endgame, that was a massive culmination of dozens of heroes over a decade,
Rest
right?
is a grand finale.
Yeah, it's like a heavyweight boxing all-star team. So how is a solo movie about a street-level hero pulling in team-up numbers? Like Spider-Man is just one nimble, incredibly popular fighter taking on the entire roster by himself.
It's a really fair question.
I mean, is this actually proof that the theatrical experience is thriving? Or is this just an anomaly driven by a 20-year legacy IP? Because it's been 5 years since No Way Home.
Yeah, 5 years is an eternity in the superhero genre.
Exactly. So that 5-year gap just created a vacuum. You know, this might not be a new triumph of cinema. This is just a beloved brand finally releasing a product after artificially starving the market.
Well, the pent-up demand is undeniably the baseline, for sure. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, historical data shows that legacy IP and pent-up demand can guarantee a strong opening day.
Right.
But they cannot generate a $200 million pre-sale phenomenon on their own. Brand loyalty gets people to buy a ticket, but it doesn't cause ticketing servers to crash for a week straight.
Okay, that's a good point.
For that kind of sustained velocity, the product itself has to signal something uniquely compelling to the audience.
So that's the pivot point, right? The numbers tell us the velocity is there, but the production choices tell us why it's happening.
Exactly.
The audience isn't just reacting to the Spider-Man brand. They are reacting to the specific and, honestly, surprisingly unconventional way this movie was made.
Yes. When you look at the creative direction under director Destin Daniel Cretton, you realize they abandoned the safety net that usually protects these billion-dollar properties.
Let's talk about the visual effects, or rather, the surprising lack of them. Because fans usually expect all this digital wizardry from web-swinging movies.
They expect heavy CGI.
Right. It's like auto-tune in music. It makes everything perfectly pitched, seamlessly smooth, and incredibly safe.
Yeah.
But it completely removes the human friction.
That's a great analogy.
And Cretton basically took away the auto-tune. He positioned this as a street-level personal story compared to the huge multiverse scale of No Way Home.
The psychology behind this decision is just brilliant. There's a concept called kinesthetic empathy.
Kinesthetic empathy.
Yeah. Basically, when you watch a movie, your brain has these mirror neurons that fire when you see another human body in motion or in pain.
Oh, interesting.
So if a real stuntman takes a physical punch and crashes into a real wooden table, your mirror neurons make you subtly wince. You literally feel the friction.
Because it's a real person.
Exactly. But when you watch a purely digital avatar smash through a purely digital building, the spectacle is grander, but those mirror neurons stay dormant. Your brain subconsciously knows it isn't real.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because that completely aligns with what we are hearing from the cast.
Oh, the Sadie Sink interview.
Yes. Sadie Sink, whose role was this highly guarded secret, gave an interview to Extra at the LA premiere. And she admitted that she walked onto the set expecting an all-digital green screen shoot.
Where you just stare at tennis balls on sticks.
Exactly. But instead, she found a heavily practical set, like a real physical environment.
And that matters because building a practical set forces a different type of performance. It changes where the actors look, how they project their voices, how they interact with the space.
It grounds them.
It does. And this ethos extended entirely into the action. Stunt coordinator Peng Zhang pushed physical performers to their absolute limits for this film.
Yeah, according to production leaks from Comic Basics, they captured everything physically possible in camera.
Which is so rare now.
It is. They were actually rigging complex wirework pendulum swings in physical spaces, meaning gravity is dictating the choreography, not some visual effects slider on a computer.
Right, they only used VFX to paint out wires and polish what couldn't be done live.
And critics are even comparing the grounded, exhausting nature of this physical journey to the Odyssey.
Which implies consequence. You know, the Odyssey, every step costs the hero something.
Right.
By using practical stunts, Zhang and Cretton ensured that every fight scene cost Peter Parker something physically. The audience can feel the exhaustion because the performers are actually experiencing a degree of it.
But wait, I have to ask, wasn't stripping away the spectacle a massive financial risk? I mean, audiences flocked to No Way Home precisely because of the massive multiverse CGI spectacle.
Right, the legacy characters and the huge scale.
Yeah. It's like comparing a home-cooked meal to the fast food of heavy CGI. Fast food is what makes the billions. So how did this gamble actually pay off?
What's fascinating here is how they weaponized contrast. Think about it. After years of watching universe-ending stakes, where the sky opens up and a laser beam threatens the entire galaxy, audiences develop threat fatigue.
Threat fatigue. Yeah, that makes sense.
When the entire universe is at stake in every single movie, the stakes paradoxically feel non-existent.
Yeah.
You just can't comprehend the loss of a universe.
No, it's too big.
But you can intimately comprehend the loss of a neighborhood or a friend.
Wow, yeah.
So by scaling down the universe-ending states to a personal level, the creators ironically scaled up the audience's emotional investment. The physical danger to Peter Parker feels far more immediate and terrifying.
That makes perfect sense. The practical filmmaking didn't just feel good on set. It translated directly to critical and fan acclaim.
It was the rocket fuel for the box office.
Exactly. I mean, let's look at the numbers. The film boasts an A cinema score from opening night audiences.
And an A is the gold standard for predicting long-term box office legs. It means the film fundamentally delivered exactly what it promised, which basically guarantees repeat viewings.
And Rotten Tomatoes is just glowing. It sits at a stellar 91% from 267 critic reviews and an even more impressive 98% audience score from over 5,000 ratings.
It's universally loved.
Charles Ridgely at Collider hailed it as the best Spider-Man movie in 20 years. And he specifically compared it to the beloved Sam Raimi era.
Which, for comic book fans, is sacred ground. Earning a comparison to the Raimi era means the film captured the earnestness and the grounded humanity of the character perfectly.
And what's really crazy is the runtime is a hefty 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, 140 minutes is long.
It is. And usually a blockbuster that long starts to feel padded. The third act evolves into this digital blur, yet critics note it never feels overstuffed. How do they do that?
You do it by returning to a character-focused formula. When a long movie is driven by a MacGuffin where they just fly from location to location to find a glowing cube or something, it drags.
Right.
But when the runtime is dedicated to the interpersonal dynamics, it flies by. The lack of heavy CGI means the movie isn't pausing the story for 30 minutes to showcase a digital spectacle.
The action serves the character, not the other way around.
Exactly.
And we also have to mention Michael Giacchino, who returned to reinvent the score with his Sweet New Day. It matches that grounded feel perfectly.
It creates a totally cohesive sensory experience.
But wait, how does a movie with such a massive star-studded ensemble manage to feel personal? I mean, you have Tom Holland, Zendaya, Sadie Sink, Jacob Batalon, John Bernthal, Tremel Tillman, Michael Mando, and Mark Ruffalo.
It is a massive cast.
Huge. Usually when you cram this many heavy hitters into one movie, the story suffers from severe bloat trying to give everyone the required screen time.
Well, it requires immense directorial restraint. In a typical team-up movie, every major actor needs their own separate CGI-heavy set piece to justify their presence.
Right, their big hero moment.
Yeah, and that causes the bloat. Cretton avoided this by integrating these characters into the practical environment. Take John Bernthal or Mark Ruffalo. By stripping away the universe-ending stakes, they aren't isolated on separate green screen stages.
They're actually interacting.
Yes, they're forced to act opposite each other in intimate physical spaces. The drama becomes conversational. The stars are there to serve Peter Parker's emotional journey rather than the movie acting as a showcase for the stars.
Got it. So this critical success is really the final variable in the equation.
It is. When you combine unprecedented pre-sales with universal critical acclaim, you get an unstoppable box office force.
And we are seeing that in real time on Reddit. Over on Marvel Studios, fans are so hyped they've initiated this thing called Project Insight to aggressively block spoilers.
Wow.
Yeah, they want to preserve the experience, and discussions are already debating if the film has a realistic shot out $2 billion worldwide.
Which is staggering. No Way Home just missed that milestone, though Endgame cleared it with $2.797 billion. But the fact that a solo, street-level film is even being modeled in the $2 billion bracket shows how much the predictive landscape has shifted.
It really does. So bringing it all together, Spider-Man, Brand New Day is currently staring down Avengers. Endgame's opening weekend records, fueled by a massive $74 million preview haul, $200 million in pre-sales, and this bold shift toward practical filmmaking that critics are calling the best in 2 decades.
The data is undeniable.
So what does this all mean?
Well, it leaves us with something to mull over. There is already massive buzz online about the film's highly secretive post-credit scene, and what it means for Peter's future.
Of course.
But consider the bigger picture. If a single hero utilizing practical physical stunts can rival the box office peak of a CGI-heavy, decade-in-the-making ensemble like Avengers, Endgame, will this force Hollywood to completely rethink the superhero formula?
Oh, yeah.
Are we witnessing the death of the green screen blockbuster era?
That is a massive question. If audiences are voting with their wallets for real gravity and human emotion over digital spectacle, the entire industry might have to rebuild its production pipelines. Thank you so much for joining us to dive into the numbers and mechanics behind this phenomenon. Keep questioning the media you consume, and we will see you next time.